Welcome to Family Business World. I'm your host, Dr. Dale Caldwell, and we have a dynamic duo of guests here. So we have Frank and Francisco, and so it's FS Digital. And so, first, before we say for the audience, what does FS Digital do? What are some of the things you do? And then I want to kind of get into your background.
All right. So it's basically a technology company.
Okay.
We build website, web app, and also mobile app.
Oh, nice.
Basically.
Oh, okay.
Also, we give all other support in terms of technology if it's needed.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. So you're technology experts, and so.
Yes.
So how did you get into, I know you're originally from the Dominican Republic.
That's correct.
But yeah, tell me the background. Where did you grow up? How did you get an interest in technology?
Yeah, that's a good question. Let me give you a little bit of detail about how we build the business. So I started first in my country, Dominican Republic. Mm-hmm. So when I was there, I had a friend who we created an application for business administration, for school administration.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
How long ago? When did you? What year did you start
that was 13 years ago.
Okay.
Because
oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, that's what we have in the country, and then 2 years before coming, we have 13 years actually here. Mm-hmm. So when I was there, we created the business. It was everything good, mm-hmm. except that in that time, I was reading that book from Donald Trump and other guys, Robert Kiyosaki, about rich father, poor father. I wanted to have financial freedom. So I came up with the idea of a friend of mine to create a new business. Then I have a sponsorship from my mother to get the petition to come here to United States.
So before, and then, we'll talk to Francisco, but how did you get into technology? Were you a kid? Were you dad? Did you always like technology?
No, I wanted to be a doctor, actually.
Really? Oh, interesting.
But I'm coming in a third world country, and it's kind of expensive to be a doctor.
Right.
So the first thing you need to do is get a job in order to get money to the income to the house.
Wow.
So that's why I came up studying technology.
You just taught yourself?
No, I went to the university.
Okay.
It's called UNFU.
Okay.
It's one of the main universities in my country, and I was graduated for computer science over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so now, Francisco, so you were born in the Dominican Republic too,
Yes.
and you grew up with your dad.
Yeah.
And did you get kind of the entrepreneurial instinct from him? Or?
Yeah, so that's actually where it came from.
Right.
So after we immigrated here, I kind of always had the feeling that I wanted to do computer science. I was always into video games. I was always into technology.
Okay.
But as I was going through college and everything else, I would always talk to him as I'm growing and like, what am I really going to do with my life?
Right.
And he always, sort of gave me his 2 cents of wisdom. Always just, hey. So I got that sense that I wanted financial freedom through him.
Right.
And then, so after attending Stockton University.
Stockton, so here in Jersey.
Yeah. So I went to school here, like very local, at Stockton University. Graduated from computer science too, and that's when we started the business. We have another business partner who I met at Stockton University as well, and then all three of us got together.
To be part of it. And so coming from the Dominican Republic, how did you pick Jersey? How did you decide that this family was here?
Well, I had some family here. My mother was here, my father and some brothers.
Okay.
So when I came here, I came with the idea of having a new business over here. But you have something in mind when you come over here, the reality is different. So I had to face the reality that I didn't speak the language.
Right.
The culture
so you really
was
didn't speak
different.
much English
No,
when you came?
Just a little word. You learn a couple of basic words.
Right.
So I had to postpone for a couple of years because I had to provide for my family.
Right.
So I had to go to ACC Community College to learn the language and also to get more knowledge about my career. So I got a training for 3 years for database specialist design.
Wow.
I was doing that there, but I improved it in here.
So now, not knowing English, how were you able to do the technology courses where you're learning English? I'm trying to learn Spanish.
Yes.
It's hard when you're older to learn it.
Because you know the basic concept.
Yeah, okay.
And I learned that from the basic concept.
Because computer science is computer science, right?
In fact, you don't learn in Spanish when you say hardware, software, or form. You don't say in Spanish because when you started, you know the term in English.
Yeah.
But the basic conversation I didn't know how to do that. So I have to start from scratch. And I remember I had to take a job driving in a truck.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
As a delivery.
Right.
Because
To
I
pay-
need
to
to
pay your
provide.
bills.
Yes,
To pay
I
your
need to
bills.
provide for him
Yeah,
and my
yeah.
family. So and then I remember driving, and I was in the parkway just watching everything and saying, having a conversation with myself about things that I see.
Right.
And when I got stuck in somewhere, I said, okay, let me write it down and let me go and look the translation in English. And
Right.
when I came back the other day, I know how to say that.
Right.
And then in
Right.
that time, I was improving.
Right.
So during that period of time, I was learning the culture, learning the language and everything. So I was, he was growing up, so he became a professional.
So you spoke English from
Yes.
from when you were little, and Spanish, right? And Spanish.
So when we moved here, I didn't know any English.
Right, okay.
I was around 11, so
Okay.
you know, I was in fifth, sixth grade.
Okay.
So I learned it from sixth grade up.
Okay.
But obviously, it's a little easier when you're younger.
Right,
Yes.
You're in the
right.
you're in school and everything, so that really helps.
Yeah. Now, were you picked on not speaking English?
Yeah, so I
Really?
was. So
Really?
when we came here, I remember when they would pick me up, and I used to tell them like, don't speak Spanish to me, like,
really? Really?
don't speak Spanish to me, like, only English, just because I was pretty much the only kid who was an immigrant in my class. So
Really?
it was very very.
So
different.
it wasn't that diverse of a school district.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't a
Okay.
very diverse school district, but
Right.
it's not like everything was bad.
Yeah, of course,
it was
yeah,
just
yeah.
kids. They're curious. They want to know why things
kids,
are different. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Kids. Kids. Pick on different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They pick
Yes.
on. It's just human nature to pick on different. So. So again, and so we have a wide variety of audience. We have young people, old people, immigrants, and others. And so that's why the story is so important.
Yes.
Really, story is so important. So one of the things I'm hearing is that going into technology, if you don't speak the language, you come here, may be a great way. Obviously, technology is amazing to get into to begin with. So,
Right.
but that's good. So, all right. So you learned that you were driving a truck, and so what was the first kind of technology business that you started here after that?
Okay, so then I was doing that, but I was focused on what was going to be my role in the society.
Right.
I knew what I wanted.
Right.
So, and let me tell you, I cried several times when I was driving, like couple of questions came to my mind, like what I'm doing here.
Right.
And
right.
I'm still get emotional when I
Right.
talk about that because it was really hard. We had a good job in there and established family. Come over here to almost start from
scratch.
Yeah.
Start from scratch.
And then I started talking to him when he grew up. He graduated from Stockton.
Yeah.
I was telling him from a long time ago, this is the best way to get your financial freedom.
Right,
Let's do this. So we created a small business. And then when we created that, he asked me about another friend who we included him in the business.
In the business, okay.
And then eventually, my wife, who had experience in account receivable.
Okay. Oh, good. Okay, good.
So she was included.
Okay.
My niece is a network security developer.
Oh my goodness.
She was included.
nice.
We have another nephew.
Okay.
That was included also.
So it's a real family
and
business.
then that's how we start creating a business as a family.
Wonderful. Now you didn't marry your wife because she had account receivable. Corporation and having your own business. You didn't say. No, that's great.
My mom's a woman of many talents.
Yeah. So many women are, and so. All right, so you start to do that, and so you're doing network security too stuff now, or no? No?
We don't really focus on cybersecurity
Okay,
as of yet.
okay.
So what we really focus on is once we bring a business in, and
Right.
we work with a lot of small businesses.
Right.
Once we bring a business into our network and we make a website for them, bring them to the digital age, we have a 100% client retention rate, so they stay with us
Nice.
for us managing their website.
Wonderful.
So that's when we bring them onto our servers. We provide all the security, maintenance, hosting, and everything.
Okay.
And that's the way that we protect. But we don't, if somebody from an outside network sort of comes into us, we're not at that space yet where we
Right.
provide cybersecurity yet.
Interesting. So it's a very competitive space. How do you differentiate yourself? How do you stand out? You're doing websites and other
Yes.
things. What do you guys do?
That's another good question because this type of business is not like a beauty salon
Right,
or
right,
something like that, that you go in there and if you don't like it or you don't have trust in that business,
right.
you just spending $100, $200 and that's it. You
Right.
don't come back.
You don't come back, right.
But for us, when we're talking about a couple of bucks, substantial bucks, like
Right.
20, 10,000,
Right.
people need to know who we are.
Right.
So, and then we have to build trust in
Right.
there. That's one thing. And you build trust by doing a good job for them, saying, if I told you this, I'm going to accomplish this.
Right.
If I promised you something,
Right.
I'm going to do what I said.
Right.
That's one thing. And also, doing hard work, discipline,
Right.
and all those things. Is that what we do really to earn that trust?
Yeah.
Trust is the main key here.
Trust is everything.
Yeah.
There's a guy named Stephen Covey Jr. His dad wrote The 7 Habits, but he has a book called The Speed of Trust. And so he says that everything is trust, and if you have the trust,
Right.
and so that's fantastic. And so as you are building the websites, what are some of the unique things that you put in there that that kind of make you stand out?
Right. So we always say that. So a lot of people that come to us when we talk to them, and they're like, "Oh, I have a website. My son built the website."
Right. Yeah.
And we're like, "Yeah, that's great, but we're experts in building websites. We like to call all our creations pixel perfect almost.
Right. Oh, wow.
We really care about. We're geeks at the end of the day. Like I'm a nerd when it comes to like performance, speed, and everything.
Right.
And I know that all our developers are as well. They really care about having something tailor made for the business. We don't take a template and just throw pictures on it and it's done. Like we actually sit with the clients and make sure that what they're getting is actually what they want.
Really?
And so whenever a picture's slightly out of place, we'll spend days trying to figure out exactly the best placement, the best performance, and everything of that sort. So I know everybody says that they put their best into it, but we really that's our foundation. Just.
What interesting. Well, and so so many businesses. So I run this Rothman Institute of Innovation and Entrepreneurship at Fairleigh Dickinson University. So we work with a wide variety of businesses. Mm-hmm. It's amazing how many businesses really don't have a website, or if they do, it's just a very basic thing.
Yes.
So there's a lot of opportunity out there.
100%. Yeah.
A lot of opportunity,
Yeah.
and obviously you speak Spanish, probably in the Spanish community as well.
Yes.
You have a lot of clients. That
Yes.
Yeah.
The website, some business, small business, sometimes they don't want to spend money in their website.
Right.
They think they are spending money.
Right.
But the thing is that the website is like your business card in today's day.
Yeah, in today's,
So,
it's an investment. It's an investment. It's not an expense.
We have experience with some client that they have a very, very small, one person just doing maintenance of any type of thing, like boat, cleaning boat, something like that. Mm-hmm. And then he was just around without any website. We built it and we gave him a corporate visualize, that people can see that he's a very professional, something like that.
Yeah.
So today having a website is almost is I don't know how to say imprescindible.
Like it's irreplaceable.
It's irreplaceable. No, you have to, and a quality website. It's not just good enough just to have something up there. We're going to take a short commercial break, and then we're going to come right back and continue this discussion. And you do apps as well, so we'll talk some about apps. So,
okay.
Absolutely.
Excellent. We'll see you right after the commercial break.
Aloha! Joe Silva here with Kukua Technologies. I'm excited to see you on Tuesdays on Morning Coffee for our tech tips.
Let's face it, lawyers get a bad rap. I'm Erin Brucey, host of Legal Breakdown, where we dissect legal topics for the everyday viewer, with a mix of interesting guests to talk about current events and hot legal topics. Let's work together to make the law accessible and relevant to everyone. Catch us every week on RVN Television.
A stroke can be easy to detect. A loved one can't speak, perhaps they can't move. But there's another sign of a stroke that many of us can't see. It's called spatial neglect, and it can occur during or after a stroke, causing distorted visual movements. Fortunately, there's a solution by using optical prism technology during rehabilitation. If you or a loved one have experienced a stroke, ask your doctor about spatial neglect. Spatial neglect. See the whole picture at KesslerFoundation.org.
Welcome back to Family Business World. We're having a wonderful conversation about F&S Digital, about websites, and we'll talk some about apps. But we were just talking about the pandemic, and so you were founded in 2018. Then you hit this thing in 2020, and how did you work the business? How did you grow the business, or did you struggle?
Yeah, so in 2019, we actually had a connection with a client who runs a film festival. It's the Garden State Film Festival.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And we had done a little bit of back-end maintenance on them. We did their website, and then we created a portal for filmmakers to submit their films to the festival.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So we did that in 2019. 2020, when the pandemic hit, we had to brainstorm a way to have the show go on.
Right.
Because it was going to get canceled, like
right,
everything
right,
else.
Right.
So we created a platform where they could stream all the films that we had built the platform for to get all the files. And we live stream all the films.
Wow.
And the show went on. So
wow, that's pretty. And then your reputation preceded you. So
yeah,
these guys can do anything.
Exactly. So from there, we really found our footing. We really we knew what we were good at from that point forward.
Right, right, and that kind of gave you confidence as well as a network.
Absolutely.
So talk about, people know websites. People don't always know how important it is to have a really, really good website, but you do apps as well.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Yes.
So where and how can a small business use an app? What's an example of a business using an app?
That's perfect. So there's two types of apps that we primarily work with. Like I mentioned before, there's web apps, which are run on browser, like Google Chrome, Safari.
Okay.
And those are primarily for things that websites can't do.
Okay.
So on your desktop, you think of Netflix almost as you don't think of it as an app, but it's a web app because it's not a website. You can stream. There's extra functionality. There's an extra layer of functionality to it. And then we talk about mobile apps, which are the apps that you can download onto your phone.
Your phone, right?
And places and events like festivals or art galleries or things of that nature, tourings. We've really found a niche in that space of making apps that are more informational, that a lot of people don't think of seeing. So a lot of people might download an app for a map or any sort of event guide or something like that.
So the difference between, how would you characterize the difference between a website and an app? So so people can kind of understand why, I need an app. Website's not enough. I need an app.
That's a perfect question. So websites primarily are more informational. So you want to show your business, you want to tell them about yourself, your business, your history, what you do, contact form, maybe some pictures of your work. So that's primarily the small business website space. If you need something more like, I want my clients to be able to log in and pay a bill.
So it's interactive. So the app is kind of, the simple way is apps are interactive.
Yeah, exactly.
And websites are kind of one way.
Exactly. Yeah. More or less. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of gray areas in between, but because technology is always pushing forward.
So
a website, there's some websites where we're like, wow, this is really like. But essentially a website is more static, more one way, whereas an app is more interactive. There's more functionality.
Interesting, and I think that's a real one, because most people really don't understand. They know how to use apps. They just don't really think about, do I need an app?
Right.
And that kind of interact, and so the other question too, there's some websites which are beautiful and they spend a lot of money, but the bandwidth, it takes forever for them to
absolutely.
Talk to me about that, because I see a lot of stuff, you go there and it's like, it takes 10 minutes to upload. Is it worth making that beautiful thing?
We really care about, like I said before, load times and performance. So we really, when we scope out a website, we really pick only the best technologies that are able to perform, because we take into account legacy computers and hardware that might not be brand new. So we always test with laptops and mobile phones that are 10 years old and 5 years old, just to make sure how it behaves.
Right.
And if it doesn't cut it on an older computer, then we just don't include it.
You don't include it, See, that's great. And again, I can tell your attention to detail is so important. So,
But let me tell you something regarding the website. People sometimes believe that website is just one type. There are different and multiple technology and type of website.
Okay.
So for a small business who is starting, it doesn't have to start with a big website or e-commerce website.
Right.
You can start with a static website that people can see picture and see who you are, a description of yourself, so that people can understand what do you do.
What do you do, right?
And then after that, you can go to a different technology. Could be for starting WordPress. It's a base technology to do a website, informative. And then you go from there to different improvement for your website.
Right.
So that's another thing. Sometimes people say, "Oh, I want a website. What type of website do you want?" So that's going to vary in what you want.
Right.
So, but
it's
basically,
it's like
for
saying
starting,
I want a car.
yes.
It's like saying I want a car, and it's
Yes.
like, well, what kind of car do you want?
Yes,
They don't think
depending,
of websites that way.
depending what you do.
Right.
If you need to carry things, you need a truck.
Right.
You see, but if you need a car for personal stuff, just a different car. So depending what you want.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Yes.
And so going back to the apps, and so if I'm there are a lot of restaurants that really their websites are not.
Right.
It's amazing how many restaurants just have the very static, basic website that you can tell hasn't changed since the 70s. So.
Yes.
Now, do they use, like if I'm doing reservations, that's more of an application? So if I'm going to do a reservation for a restaurant?
So we would like it to be apps. Unfortunately, a lot of restaurants don't invest in their digital presence. So most restaurants, they're using like cookie cutter solutions. So one size fits all kind of.
Right.
So you have companies who will go to the restaurants and just ask for the menu, implement a solution, and it doesn't really fit them, but they'll work with it because it works, kind of. But in a perfect world, we would want every restaurant's website to sort of feel like them.
Okay.
And that's what we're helping to push forward to tailor make their.
So would they have an app as part of that? Kind of an.
It depends. So if it's more of a enterprise, a bigger. So for you think of like Starbucks, they have an app because they have a loyalty rewards program. There's some things that you can get away with just being on a website, but like a loyalty rewards, that sort of thing would be on an app. Whereas just ordering, like mobile ordering, you could get away with it being on a website.
Interesting. So one of the programs that a national program is called Entrepreneur Zones. I'm kind of, my dad knew in March with Dr. King, and so I'm kind of obsessed with poverty, and the way to reduce poverty is to grow entrepreneurship to create jobs, which is one of the reasons I'm so into. And one of the things, we call them EZones. So one of the things we're thinking about, and maybe we'll work with you guys, is to create a loyalty program, an EZone loyalty program. I bought a website, EZones.com. I haven't populated it. May have you do that, where you want to have retail. Actually, when I went to Princeton, and Jeff Bezos was at Princeton the time I was there, and so founder of Amazon. And so my thing is, you could do that, but for folks in kind of urban communities and other things. So I may want to talk to you guys about that, about really developing this, because the potential is, there's so many, and the idea is clusters of businesses. And we want to do it globally in Dominican Republic. But that's growing entrepreneurship is really, and what you guys do can play a critical role in really doing this. So that's why I'm really, really interested in the websites and the apps.
That sounds super. That sounds like a great idea.
So we'll definitely talk about it. So what's next? You guys are a great business. You have a great business, a family business. What's in the future? What are you guys looking to grow to do?
So we really want to, the first thing in the immediate future is we really want to get more involved with the community. Right now, we're part of a few local chambers of commerce. And as well as we volunteer during the summers to speak to incoming freshmen at Stockton University.
Okay, great.
But we really want to be more involved because right now, all the time that we have as a small team, we dedicate to pushing the business forward. So we want to start giving back in certain ways. So that's in the immediate plans. And then obviously, as time moves forward, we want to just continue cultivating the values that we instilled from the beginning and just expanding outwards. So the values that he talked about with trust and discipline, we want to keep fomenting those and just expanding.
Yes, that's one of the things that take time to build trust. And sometimes when you say, "Oh, I'm FNS Digital," who you are,
Right.
you know, we want to expand in not just South Jersey, but whole New Jersey and everywhere, so that people can know what we are capable of doing,
Right.
and that they can trust on us,
Right.
and that take time, not just outside, but within the organization. We have some methodology inside that we use, like DevOps and some other,
Right.
to make sure that we're gonna be able to accomplish what we promise.
Wonderful.
So it's not that easy. We're working hard on that,
Right,
but
yeah, well, then it's
to
not
be
easy.
strong and be able to accomplish everything we said we're gonna do.
Well, I mean, your story is amazing. And again, as I think about, that's why as I'm thinking about these EZones, you know, kind of entrepreneurship is everywhere. But so often society doesn't help it flourish.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
And society doesn't help it flourish. You know, and I think that, and so often the mindset is, well, you're on your own. Do it. You know, you
Yep.
pull yourself up by your
By
own
your
bootstraps.
bootstraps,
Which is
yeah.
nonsense.
Yeah,
There's
no.
nobody who has
Yes.
it. You know,
Absolutely.
and so to begin to help that. So I love your story. Unfortunately, we're at the at the end of time. If people want to get in touch with you, if you let the camera know, what's your web address and what phone number? How do they reach out to you and how do they call you?
Yeah, so our website is fsdigitalagency.com, and our phone number is 1-800-262-5108.
Excellent.
Yes, and also if there's someone in Spanish language that we are
Right.
watching this TV show, I speak Spanish, he speaks Spanish, and you know it's gonna be easy because sometimes when they want a website but they don't understand the language,
Right.
so we are here to help them to understand what they need.
And I do a lot of work with the Hispanic Chamber. And
Yes,
they tell
also.
me the stories of, there are so many Spanish-speaking businesses that are behind the scenes. I mean, thousands and thousands.
Yes.
It is an incredible economy. So Frank,
Was
thank
a
you so much for
pleasure.
coming, Francisco.
Yes.
This is
It's a
great. I'll
pleasure.
tell you, I have a feeling we're going to be doing some things together. I want to thank you
Thank
all
you.
for watching Family Business World. We will see you next week.